Okay, last week was a little hectic, Mother's Day and all that, but I want to do a proper development video for the shoot 'em up that I'm making. So, the biggest thing this project taught me is simple. Once the core play space is handled, I could start focusing on the fun parts of the game. By using player bounds, I don't have to spend extra time figuring out how the play space kind of works, you know. Typically, without a solution like this, you have to do a bunch of math to kind of keep the player from flying out of the bounds of the level or the play space or whatever. Instead of worrying about that, you can just kind of throw it in there and it works. So with that solved, the first idea I wanted to try was, does a space fighter really need a sword? Probably not. Does it look cool? Yes, it looks very cool. So that was the only reason I needed to throw it in there. Right now, the sword's pretty simple. It follows the ship, it's attached to it, and then I have a working swing action implemented. It basically turns itself into a projectile. Didn't do anything advanced yet, but I already got plans for it. Eventually, I want to make the sword become more than just a visual gimmick, right? I want to create a different kind of rhythm inside the shooter. Something that gives the player a reason to move, you know, aggressively, instead of staying there and staying back and firing projectiles. I think melee combat will give me that. So instead of holding down a button to fire, right, I decided to make the ship do auto fire. But the main reason I'm doing that is because I'm planning on releasing a mobile version of this game. For a vertical shmup, I think auto fire makes sense. It keeps the controls simple and lets the players focus on movement, positioning, timing, and swinging a giant sword. Speaking of shooting, I also added projectile types. At first I could have kept it simple with one basic shot, but that would make the game feel a little less interesting. By having two projectile types, it gave me some design room, right? I was able to do two types of projectiles that can do two different things. One of them is aligned with the player and follows the player movement. The other one kind of arcs and drags, and it gave me something interesting. So right now the implementation is kind of basic, but the important part is that the structure is there. That means I can build more interesting projectile behavior later without starting from scratch. I also added a simple enemy. The enemy follows a basic movement pattern, and for now, that's enough. The random meteors that are still in the project are there, but I needed something just a little more interesting for the player to shoot at. Meteors are good background danger, right? Like they can just kind of fly in and out. They add movement pressure. You can have certain types of enemies shooting meteors, but actual core enemies give the player a clearer target to make the game feel more interactive. It's still early, but now the prototype has the beginning of a real gameplay loop. Player moves inside the bounds, the ship fires automatically, enemies enter the play space, projectiles create action, and the sword gives me a mechanic to build around. That's the foundation that I wanted. So the main point here was not to create a huge game right away, right? The point was to prove that the reusable system for player bounds is very helpful, and it allows you to build faster. Player bounds handled the play space problem, which allowed me to focus on the content. You know, the sword, the projectile, the enemies, the mobile friendly control, which I gave thought to, and just the overall shooter, right? So you basically get all of the complex stuff out of the way, and then you can just make the game. At the end of this project, I do want to make a playable demo for you guys to play so you can try it yourself. After this, I'll be moving on to the Infinite Runner, showing how the same player balance system applies to a completely different game type. If you want a deeper written breakdown of the design progress, I'll be posting on my Substack, link down in the description. And if you want to start building games like this yourself, you can check out the player bounce template in my bio. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the studio, and I'll see you guys in the next update.